What's up, guys? I'm back today with another Pocket GM21 video on the channel, and in today's video, we are back with kind of like an overview kind of gameplay video kind of thing. We're not going to have any, go through the season in today's video. I was going to say gameplay, but where there's not really any gameplay. We're not going to be going through any of the season in today's video. We're just going to be talking about what happened in the offseason and kind of what my plan is after this season and see kind of how this season's going to go, and we'll kind of get a gist of what happened in the offseason and what positions we do still need to upgrade as we head into next year as well. So we're going to quickly go over the roster, and I'm going to show you one crazy thing before we get started in today's episode. We head over to free agency. You guys can see Miami goes out. They give a big contract to Corey Van Noy, and then they cut him after the draft. So you guys can check out their team. They're going to be giving the starting job to Wayne Douglas. He has one start on his year. We saw that one start and had a pretty good game. Not too bad, not too great. One touchdown, one pick. But they're going to be giving the keys to him, and he'll be able to see what he can do in this offense compared to Corey Van Noy. They are down to $12 million in cap space. I think they signed some couple players and made a couple moves in free agency and trade some players and stuff like that. So you guys can kind of get a gist of what they did. You want to get a quick overview. Some of the top players are still there. Obviously, Smelter and Parsons and Stevenson are kind of like their big three players on defense that are like their core players. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys. Obviously, Zay Alexander is coming up for a new deal as well. He had a pretty solid year last year, so we should keep our eye on him as well if they do not give him a big contract. But I thought it was pretty crazy that after he gets Corey Van Noy gets a big contract, he ends up getting cut. Interesting to see if he does get picked up by a team. It kind of happens in this game. If you guys have played a lot of this game, you guys can see that it happens quite often that top-tier quarterbacks will usually get cut after they get a big contract, or they'll cut the quarterback first and sign other players to build around the team. And then they'll kind of just sit in free agency for quite a while. They might be there for a couple of years, or they could be there for their entire career. So it's interesting to see what's going to end up happening with him, because he will regress at some point. So we'll have to see if he does get picked up for another roster, but I do hope he does. So we kind of get the storyline of Corey Van Noy as well going on in the series. But moving on, let's go over the roster and everything like that. So I kind of wanted to, obviously you guys can see we have $70 million in cap space. I could go out and make trades all I wanted to and flip players and just build a superstar roster if I really, really wanted to, trade away future picks and stuff like that. One thing I do want to mention is I didn't realize, as we're going to head over here just so I can show you guys, I didn't realize we didn't even have a first round pick last year, and we don't have a first round pick this year as well. We only had 2 through 7, we didn't have a first round pick. And then we also, for this year, only have 3 through 7. So we have a 3rd, a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 2 7ths. And then we finally get a first round pick next year. So we are projected 14th pick. So that's going to not put us in the postseason. So that's not great. But you guys can see there, a little disappointing. I was hoping we would have had a first round pick so we could have picked up a big player or a star player in a position that we really needed. But that opportunity really wasn't there. Also, I did pick up a new head coach. I mentioned in the last video that there was no Smash Mouth coaches available. Clearly there were. It was directly in front of my face, and I didn't even notice it. So, anyways, we did pick up a Smash Mouth quarterback, or a head coach, and a coordinator, and a defensive coordinator to fit with that scheme as well. Picked up a wide receiver scout, which kind of helped us. We picked up a new wide receiver, so it is what it is. We also picked up a new backup running back in Obi Knight. Pretty cool name. Anyways, going to be a solid piece. We picked him up in the 3rd round. A pretty solid piece. 79 quick development. Can't complain about that. We're going to be keeping Brandon Mickey on. Every time his name comes up, I butcher it. We're going to be looking out for future quarterbacks that come in the draft, whether it be this year or next year. But I did want to not completely wipe the roster, because I thought it wasn't crazy realistic for me to trade away the entire team. So we're going to keep Mickey on. He's still on a 2-year deal, and it's a pretty cheap deal. If we were going to go out and pick up Van Noy, which is actually 2 points worse, it would cost us $21 million or almost $22 million compared to 13.4 for Mickey on. So we're going to keep him on the team. Peter's going to be a solid piece on the team, and receiving, our receivers are really, really not great. We picked up Noah Alexander out of free agency, kind of going to be a top receiver. He hasn't really done much in his career, hasn't had a phenomenal year. His best year, 850 with the Chargers, coming off a couple of years with them. But we're going to bring him in here, and he's going to be our number 1 receiver, at least for 1 year, and see how he does. We also drafted Jamie Hurts as well. for a nice fourth string wide receiver. We didn't really get any new tight ends. Our tight ends group is not great. We drafted a new tight end, but only 69 quick development. We'll see. Maybe he'll have a chance to jump Cooper Barrett, depending on how his development goes. You guys know the offensive line. Nothing great. Kind of just filled a couple holes. We picked up Kozer, however you want to say his name. We picked him up. And then we picked up McGovern as well. Offensive guard. We picked up Rudolph. But again, kind of just a filler spot. Disappointed he is declining for his development, but it's going to be okay. And we also went out and spent a pretty good amount of money on Ben Lomax. $8.5 million over 4 years, 90 overall. Cannot complain about that. I'm realizing now that if I was going with this game plan, I probably should have front-loaded a lot of these contracts that I was giving out to some of these players, considering we have so much cap space. But that's something we can work on in the upcoming year, considering we don't really have any big players that I do want to keep on the team that are going to require some big contracts. So that's something I need to keep in mind for myself here as we head into the next upcoming offseason. Checking out the defensive end room. We're going to actually jump Fowler up here to our third string defensive end as well. We also have Will Bosa, hoping he can do pretty well. 75 injury prone is not great. 26 for Fowler is much better, but we'll see how both of those guys develop with quick development. Moving on to defensive tackles, you guys can see, really didn't pick anybody up. Diablo, I don't know if we picked up Diablo. Yes, so it looks, no, we didn't. So he's already on the team. Don't think we really, we picked up Shell. That's the guy we picked up. I did want to bring him in for more years, but he's already missed 6 games in his first season and then 1 more last year, and he's got an 86 injury prone. Didn't really want to bring him in on a long-term contract in case he's like an really injury-prone player. So we'll see how he does on a 1-year deal and then potentially bringing him back for a longer contract. Moving on to the linebackers, there were no linebackers in the draft that were available for me to draft. And then there was also no good linebackers in free agency. It looks like I probably should have kept our older aging player. I forget his name. Our older linebacker. He was on the other side of 30. And I didn't want to keep him, but I probably should have just offered him a 1-year deal, but I ended up not doing that, and our defense is probably going to suffer a fair amount because of that. But we ended up just getting some filler players on 1-year deals, so that's definitely a spot we need to pick up in the draft and then look out for that free agency as well. Maybe also on the trade block to see if we have any players on here as well. Looks like there's a couple players, but I don't really want to give big contracts out to players who are like 28 years old, so that's really not an option for us. But Eddie Waller over here, actually, for being a wide receiver, definitely a player I'm kind of interested in, coming up a 1,300-yard year. Only 1 receiving touchdown on 111 receptions and 1,400 yards almost. One touchdown. Pretty wild there, but he does make the All-Pro team, and we are definitely actually going to keep an eye on him as well. And potentially Frank Bryant would be cool to pick up from our old team, obviously, but again, 29 years old. I don't like to pick up players that old, so we probably won't do that as well. Here is Chris Kareem. This is the guy who actually won 2 rings here in New England. You guys can see how he did here. Actually just found this guy right now, played last year in Jacksonville, and now he's in Cleveland. And anyways, we're going to move on from that. So you guys can see the team. Stevenson, Aiden Wallace, we actually went out and gave a 5-year, $11 million deal to, building up that secondary. Again, you guys know we had a good secondary in Miami, so we want to build that up here. Joshua Roberts bringing him in on a 1-year deal. And then we have a nice little Daryl Toth as a super development 68 overall. Our safety is not looking great, but we do have Brendel at super development. And we also picked up a new kicker. There was nobody really available, so we ended up having to go out and pick up a 40-year-old kicker on the decline. So he's going to be a spot filler. Had a pretty good time, and the other kickers that were available missed like 7 or 8 kicks last year, so I was not bringing that in. I'm really going to be able to look out for potentially going to trade for our old kicker in Miami. That might be the one unrealistic thing I might try to do, but we'll see how things go here in the future. And we also kept our punter as well, and that is pretty much what the roster is going to be looking like heading into our first season in New England. A very high-powered offense, 86 overall, 78 defense for an 82 overall team. We'll see how this team does. I'm not sure how it's going to do. I'm hoping Mikion can do just enough with the Smash Mouth offense, and Marcus Peters can really carry this team along with Obi Knight. The wide receivers are not great, but again, I'm hoping the wide receivers and tight ends don't have to do much, and I'm hoping this offensive line can do enough. Our offensive tackle, solid offensive tackle, pretty good in Kozer as well, and then also picked up a solid center, and we're really going to need to upgrade the offensive guard room going forward after Rudolph comes off this year. And so yeah, there's a couple holes we need to fill, but I'm really content with where the roster is, kind of. I'm content where the offense is. I really like Marcus Peters, happy with him, but running backs in this game do not last a long time. So I'll have to keep an eye on him and his development. He is slow development, but he is coming off 2 phenomenal years. 1,400 yards, almost back-to-back years, phenomenal. Can't complain about that, so we might be able to keep him for a couple more years. Wide receivers, we definitely need to pick up a wide receiver, and like I said, Eddie Waller is someone I'm going to keep my eye on here, coming off a phenomenal year in San Francisco, so we might go out and trade. Actually, let's look at it right now. Let's see what we're going to need to do. 2,500 to get him, and it's looking like we would have to give up. Honestly, we wouldn't even have enough if we gave up all our draft picks, so we're not going to do that. We check out the rest of the team. Mickey All's only going to count for about 1,100. We have to trade away one of our star corners, our star running back, center, or offensive tackle. Our offensive tackle would be an option to pick up a new wide receiver, but again, do we really want to do that and look to fill that hole? I don't know. Maybe that is something we want to do. Maybe it's not. But it's definitely something we can keep our eye on if he is still there towards the end of the year. I know he is. Goddard is on the end of 32 years old. 4-year contract we just gave him. But again, it's hard to get rid of those really solid offensive linemen because it's sometimes hard to find them in the future. But yeah, that's how the team's going to be looking here as we head into the rest of the year. We have a lot of holes to fill, honestly. But I'm hoping this team can do just enough. We have Lomax as the center, is really a staple I want to keep on the team. Will Bosa, going to be a solid, probably number 2. Maybe he can develop into a number 1 defensive end, but we'll have to see how he does. Honestly, defensive tackle room, there's not many pieces I like to keep here that are really going to be starting caliber players. Linebackers, again, maybe Derek Hill we would give another 2-year contract to, but we'll have to see what kind of deal he's asking for and see what his stats look like. Linebacker room honestly needs to be completely revamped. The only thing that is probably going to be kept on this team is the entire cornerback room. Potentially Joshua Roberts will swap out with someone else. But I'm really happy with the way that team looks. Darius Stevenson is going to be needing a new deal in 2 years, and we're definitely going to shell out that money to give to him. Safeties, again, not really a good spot on the team. So we have a lot of holes to fill. And like I said, I know I could have done it in one single year, flipped a ton of these players, flipped a ton of the picks, and just went out and got the players that we needed in 1 year. But I kind of like to have that progression, the storyline, and everything with this game. And I think it's a lot of fun to do with this series. So hope you guys do enjoy that, and hopefully we don't get fired. I'm hoping this offense can carry us to at least the postseason because we're expected to make the postseason. Overall, 82, Miami, 85. Going to be a tough matchup, but we'll have to see how Wayne Douglas does do on that team. Buffalo at an 80. Going to be a competitor that we're going to have to go against, Dan Pierre. And then also in the New York against the Jets, they have a phenomenal defense, but a lackluster offense, and 83 overall. So we're the second highest overall in the division, or actually, no, we are the third highest overall behind Miami and then behind the Jets as well. But who knows what's going to happen with Miami? Very strong defense. Lots of these teams have very strong defense. We're the only team with a strong offense and not strong defense. So we'll have to see how this team does in the regular season. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will see you guys with a new video probably on Friday. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on Friday with another episode of the series.